For over 40 years, Freddie Fender made his mark on the music world, rising to fame as both a solo artist and a member of the Texas Tornadoes and Los Super Siete. But what became of the Tejano music legend? Stick around, because his story is one you don't want to miss. Freddie Fender, born Valdemar Huerta, was an American Tejano singer whose unmistakable voice blended country, rock, swamp pop, and Tex-Mex like no other. Starting out in the 1950s playing Spanish-language rock and roll for Tejano crowds, he hustled for years before finally breaking into the mainstream in 1975 with his massive crossover hit, Before the Next Teardrop Falls, a song that soared to the top of both Billboard's pop and country charts. He went on to record even more unforgettable country hits, including Wasted Days and Wasted Nights, Secret Love, You'll Lose a Good Thing, Living It Down, and The Rains Came. Known as the bebop kid of the Texas-Mexico border, Fender's twangy tenor turned him into a country music sensation. But on October 14, 2006, the world lost the legend. He passed away at the age of 69. Just 2 months prior, his wife and longtime manager, Vangie Huerta, revealed that Fender had been diagnosed with inoperable cancer. After learning in June that multiple tumors had spread to his lungs, he had been holding on to hope for a miracle. In an interview with the Corpus Christi Caller-Times before his passing, Freddie Fender openly acknowledged his declining health, expressing a sense of peace with his condition. He had always been candid about his battles with alcohol and substance use, struggles that deeply impacted both his personal life and his career. Fender's early years were marked by poverty and instability, shaping a life filled with turbulence. Despite his musical success, he wrestled with self-destructive habits, particularly heavy drinking and drug use, which repeatedly derailed his career. At one point, his addiction brought everything to a halt, forcing him into rehabilitation centers as he fought to regain control of his life. His troubles even landed him behind bars on substance-related charges, an ordeal that nearly ended his rising music career before it truly took off. Over the years, the toll of addiction led to severe health complications. Fender battled diabetes, hepatitis C, and in 2002, he underwent a kidney transplant, receiving an organ from his 21-year-old daughter, Marla Huerta Garcia. Despite these efforts, his health continued to decline, ultimately leading to his passing. In 2004, Freddie Fender underwent a liver transplant, another battle in his long struggle with health complications. He passed away around noon at his home in Corpus Christi, surrounded by his family, according to a statement from family spokesman Ron Rogers. He was survived by his wife Vangie, whom he first married in 1957, divorced in 1993, and remarried in 1995, their daughter Marla, and 3 other children. Life had never been easy for Fender. In a 1979 interview with People, he reflected on his humble beginnings. Born Valdemar Huerta in the poor farming town of San Benito, Texas, he grew up in a region where musical influences blended effortlessly, where Bob Wills mixed big band sounds with country, and Marty Robbins fused mariachi guitars with Nashville ballads. Fender's musical journey truly began after serving in the Marines in the late 1950s. Inspired by his guitar, he adopted the name Fender and pursued a unique fusion of rock, country, and Latin music. Early in his career, he recorded Spanish-language covers of hits by Elvis Presley and Harry Belafonte. But just as his star began to rise, everything came crashing down. His momentum was cut short when he was sentenced to 3 years in a Louisiana prison for marijuana possession in the early 1960s. Freddie Fender struck gold in 1975 with Before the Next Teardrop Falls, a song that didn't just climb to #1 on both the pop and country charts, it completely took over. It resonated with country music fans, dominated rock and pop audiences, and became a worldwide sensation. The hit single went on to sell well over 1 million copies, cementing Fender's place in music history. When he didn't stop there, with over a dozen top 10 hits, including 4 #1s, Fender's legacy in country music was undeniable. But here's the twist. Before the Next Teardrop Falls wasn't originally his song. Multiple artists had recorded it before him, but none found real success. The first version was cut by Dwayne D., but his career was halted when he was drafted, and the song barely reached number 44 on the country charts. Linda Martell gave it her own touch in 1970, pushing it to number 33 on Billboard. Even Jerry Lee Lewis recorded a version for his 1969 album, Another Place, Another Time. But it wasn't until 1974 that producer Huey P. Moe, known as the Crazy Cajun, saw an opportunity. Having worked with Fender before, he approached him with the idea to record Before the Next Teardrop Falls. And the rest is history. At first, Freddie Fender didn't even want to record Before the Next Teardrop Falls. But something changed his mind, and when he finally stepped into the studio, he gave it a unique twist. Singing the first half in English and the second half in Spanish, he thought that was the end of it, just another song in the books. But he couldn't have been more wrong. The song exploded, shooting straight to number 1 on the Hot Country Singles chart in 1975. And it didn't stop there. It also dominated the Billboard Hot 100, becoming one of the top 5 songs of the entire year. This massive success set Fender's career on fire, paving the way for 4 more number 1 hits on the country charts. Before the Next Teardrop Falls wasn't just a hit, it was the song that launched him into superstardom. Producer Huey P. Moe crafted the track with a signature Tex-Mex sound, which struck a chord with listeners. The song's success inspired Fender to release even more bilingual singles, including Secret Love, as well as a fully Spanish version of his breakout hit. That year, only 6 songs managed to top both the country and Hot 100 Billboard charts, making Fender's achievement nothing short of legendary. Freddie Fender's meteoric rise wasn't just about chart success. His hit Before the Next Teardrop Falls earned him the prestigious Single of the Year award from the Country Music Association. The song, which was certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America for surpassing 1 million sales, completely transformed his life. It also opened doors for future bilingual hits on mainstream radio, proving that language was no barrier to musical success. But before the fame, before the awards, there was struggle. Born Baldemar Garza Huerta in San Benito, Texas, Fender came from humble beginnings. His mother, Margarita Garza, and father, Serapio Huerta, were migrant farm workers, and he grew up in extreme poverty. Life in the borderlands between Texas and Mexico wasn't easy, but it was rich in culture, a mix of Mexican and American traditions that shaped him in ways he wouldn't fully realize until later. That upbringing became the foundation of his music. Fender's sound, a fusion of country, rock, and Tejano, was more than just a style. It was a reflection of his life, his roots, and the struggles that made him who he was. Growing up in a bilingual household, Freddie Fender was immersed in both Spanish and English music, a cultural blend that became the backbone of his signature sound. But life wasn't easy. As a Mexican-American in rural Texas, he faced constant economic hardship and discrimination. These struggles shaped not just his life, but the raw emotional depth in his music. When he sang about love, loss, and longing, people felt it, because his voice carried the weight of real-life experiences. His first exposure to music came from his family, who played traditional Mexican songs at home. But the radio introduced him to an entirely different world, one filled with country, blues, and rockabilly. That mix of influences would later define his unique style. Fender picked up the guitar early and was singing before he even hit his teens. By the time he was a teenager, he was already performing in local clubs and on the radio. These early experiences molded his songwriting, blending English and Spanish lyrics with Latin rhythms and twangy country melodies, creating a sound that was undeniably his own. Freddie Fender's early encounters with racial inequality shaped not just his personal life, but his music as well. Facing discrimination as a Mexican-American in a predominantly Anglo community, he even changed his name in an effort to fit in. This sense of displacement, Never feeling fully at home in one culture or the other became a defining element of his artistry. He channeled that experience into a sound that blurred musical boundaries, allowing him to connect with listeners from all walks of life. His fusion of country and Latin influences made him a trailblazer in crossover music, and his journey started young. At just 10 years old, he made his first radio appearance on KGBT in Harlingen, Texas, performing the hit Paloma Querida. Fender often reminisced about his early passion for music, which took root while he worked in the fields. He described sneaking out at night, drawn to the glow of distant cigarette embers flickering in the dark, musicians playing on the streets, filling the air with music. It was mesmerizing. Despite his talent, Fender dropped out of high school at 16. By 17, he had enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, setting off on a new chapter before music would eventually pull him back in. Freddie Fender's time in the United States Marine Corps wasn't without trouble. His struggles with drinking landed him in the brig multiple times, and in August 1956, he was court-martialed and discharged at the rank of private. But years later, he received unexpected news. According to Fender, the Department of the Navy admitted that his dishonorable discharge had been unjustified, as it was based on alcoholism. In a rare reversal, he was granted a general discharge instead. Back in Texas, he threw himself into music, performing in nightclubs, bars, and honky-tonks across the South, primarily for Latino audiences. By 1957, under the stage name El Bebop Kid, he started gaining traction. He released Spanish-language covers of popular songs, including Elvis Presley's Don't Be Cruel and Harry Belafonte's Jamaica Farewell, both of which found moderate success in Mexico and South America. He also put his spin on Hank Williams' Cold, Cold Heart, recording a Spanish version titled Tu Frio Corazón, which translates to Your Cold Heart. Fender's managers believed that Baldemar Huerta just didn't have the star power to sell records. But Freddie? That had a ring to it. By 1958, his Spanish-language records were taking off in Texas and Mexico. His Spanish cover of Elvis Presley's Don't Be Cruel became a massive hit, shooting to #1 across Latin America. Riding this wave of success, he packed up and moved to California. A year later, he recorded the now iconic blues ballad Wasted Days and Wasted Nights. According to his daughter, the song was deeply personal, written for his wife who was on the verge of leaving him due to his wild, unpredictable lifestyle in the pursuit of fame. Everything seemed to be falling into place, until legal trouble knocked everything off course. In May 1960, disaster struck. Fender and a bandmate were arrested in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for marijuana possession. He was prosecuted and sentenced to nearly 3 years in the Louisiana State Penitentiary. His career had stalled, but fate wasn't done with him yet. Thanks to the intervention of then-Governor Jimmy Davis, Fender was granted an early release, giving him another chance at his musical dreams. Yet according to him, one of the conditions of his parole was that he had to stay away from music completely. And so, Lonely Days and Lonely Nights, along with an entire album he had recorded while in prison, sat untouched, waiting a staggering 11 years before finally seeing the light of day. By the late 1960s, Freddie Fender had stepped away from the spotlight and settled back in Corpus Christi, Texas. He worked as a mechanic, attended Del Mar College as a sociology major, and only played music on weekends. His dreams of stardom seemed far away until the next decade brought a life-changing opportunity. Success finally knocked on his door when producer Huey P. Moe saw something in Fender that the industry had overlooked. He convinced him to bring his soulful tenor to country music and, in 1974, to record what would become his greatest hit, Before the Next Teardrop Falls. That album changed everything. It was a smash on both country and pop radio, breaking barriers for Mexican-American artists in ways few had ever done before. Before the Next Teardrop Falls didn't just top the charts, it flew off the shelves. The single sold over 1 million copies and earned a prestigious gold disc from the RIAA in May 1975. His songs were covered by legends like Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, LeAnn Rimes, and many more across country and pop music. Between 1975 and 1983, he charted an incredible 21 country hits, including Since I Met You Baby, Vaya con Dios, Livin' It Down, and The Rains Came. Wasted Days and Wasted Nights became his second million-selling single, earning him another gold disc in September 1975. In 1975, Freddie Fender's success wasn't just reflected on the charts, it was also playing non-stop across the country's jukeboxes. At the Amusement and Music Operators Association, AMOA, Jukebox Awards, he was crowned Artist of the Year and took home Record of the Year for having the highest-earning songs played on jukebox machines throughout the United States. Fender's signature sound was deeply influenced by the swamp pop movement that originated in southern Louisiana and southeast Texas. This influence was especially evident in his 1978 album Swamp Gold, which featured classic swamp pop standards. Fender worked closely with swamp pop musicians like Joe Barry and Rod Bernard, and he recorded numerous songs under Huey P. Moe's labels, Moe being a Cajun producer who specialized in the swamp pop sound. But Fender wasn't just a musician, he had a passion for acting too. In 1977, he landed a role in the movie Short Eyes, and 2 years later he portrayed Pancho Villa in the western She Came to the Valley. 3 years later, Robert Redford cast him in the film The Milagro Beanfield War, giving Fender another taste of Hollywood. But this wasn't his first time on the big screen. In 1977, he had played Tony in the prison drama Short Eyes, a film adaptation of Miguel Piñero's gritty stage play, directed by Robert M. Young. His acting career even landed him on television. He made a special appearance as himself in an episode of The Dukes of Hazzard. By 1989, Fender's musical career was far from over. He had been performing small gigs when an exciting opportunity came knocking. He was invited to co-found the Texas Tornadoes. Teaming up with legendary Tex-Mex musicians Doug Sahm, Flaco Jimenez, and Augie Myers, they created a groundbreaking sound that blended conjunto, Tejano, R&B, country, and blues. When the Texas Tornadoes auditioned for Warner Brothers Records, Freddie Fender wasn't entirely convinced the group had what it took to impress the executives, so he brought his own band as backup. But things didn't go as planned. He played country music, which was not what the label was looking for, and the audition nearly flopped. At the last minute, Fender was persuaded to switch things up, playing vintage rock and blues numbers instead. That was the sound the executives wanted, and just like that, the group landed a record deal. The Texas Tornadoes became a huge success, both in live performances and on record. Their popularity reignited interest in Fender's older recordings, and even earned him a new solo contract with Warner Bros. Over the years, the band released 4 albums, and in 1990, they took home a Grammy Award for Best Mexican-American Performance with their song Soy de San Luis. Later, in an interview, Fender humorously described the band as the old guys in the street. But tragedy struck when Doug Sahm passed away, slowing down the Tornadoes' production. By the late 1990s, Fender wasn't done making history. He joined another supergroup, Los Super 7, further cementing his legendary status in the music world. He became part of Los Super 7, alongside Los Lobos' David Hidalgo and Cesar Rosas, Flaco Jimenez, Ruben Ramos, Joe Ellie, and country singer Rick Trevino. The group was a massive success, and in 1998, they won a Grammy Award for Best Mexican-American Performance for their self-titled album. In 2001, Fender recorded his final studio album, a heartfelt collection of classic Mexican boleros titled La Música de Valdemar Huerta. This deeply personal project earned him yet another Grammy, this time for Best Latin Pop Album. On June 5, 2005, he attended a special dedication in his hometown of San Benito, Texas, a $1.4 million water tower bearing his image and the words, "San Benito, hometown of Freddie Fender." Fender performed one last concert on December 31, 2005, before beginning another round of chemotherapy. But the battle was nearing its end. On October 14, 2006, at age 69, Freddie Fender passed away from lung cancer at his home in Corpus Christi, Texas, surrounded by his family. Freddie Fender was laid to rest in his hometown of San Benito, Texas. On October 18, 2006, a funeral mass was held in his honor at Queen of the Universe Catholic Church, following a touching procession down Freddy Fender Lane, passing by the very home where he grew up in the El Jardín neighborhood. The service was a tribute fit for a legend. Charlie Rich Jr., a former member of Fender's band, performed his iconic song "Before the Next Teardrop Falls" as mourners gathered. Fender was laid to rest with full military honors at San Benito Cemetery. Even in death, Fender's legacy lived on. Fellow musicians and industry leaders hailed him as a pioneer whose impact on rock and roll, country, and Tejano music was undeniable. Despite his incredible achievements, Fender remains the Phantom of the Opry, overlooked by the Hall of Fame but never forgotten by the millions he inspired. His story, his music, and his impact continue to resonate with Latinos and Mexicans, proving that his influence will never fade. Freddie Fender's legacy isn't just about hit songs, it's about breaking barriers, defying the odds, and proving that dreams have no borders. In an industry where Hispanic artists often struggled to find their place, he forged his own path, refusing to be hidden in the shadows. Fender was the embodiment of the American dream, a migrant worker from a small town who, through sheer talent and perseverance, built a name for himself, provided for his family, and left behind a legacy that still resonates across generations. More than that, he was the first Mexican-American to successfully cross over into mainstream pop, shattering racial barriers with ease. His life was filled with adversity and struggle, but he faced every challenge with patience and resilience. The obstacles he overcame, especially given the time period, were far greater than most can truly comprehend. Tim McGraw, for example, has honored Fender's legacy multiple times, performing his songs backed by a full mariachi band, a testament to just how far-reaching Fender's impact has been. On November 17, 2007, the Freddie Fender Museum and Conjunto Music Museum opened in San Benito, Texas. Sharing a space with the San Benito Historical Museum, these institutions celebrate his musical legacy. His family also keeps his memory alive through the Freddie Fender Scholarship Fund and continues to support philanthropic causes he cared about during his lifetime. In 1993, he was celebrated at the European Walk of Fame in Rotterdam, Netherlands. The following year, Freddie Fender Lane was officially dedicated in his hometown of San Benito, Texas, and in 1999, Fender was inducted into the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the Texas Music Hall of Fame, and the Nashville Sidewalk of Stars. Freddie Fender's legacy continued to grow long after his passing. In 2001, he was inducted into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame, recognizing his deep ties to the region's swamp pop sound. His hometown of San Benito, Texas, never forgot him. In 2009, they established the Freddie Fender Humanitarian Award, honoring those who give back to their communities, and erected the Freddie Fender Water Tower near Steam Academy as a tribute to his lasting influence. More recently, in 2023, Fender was officially recognized with a Texas historical marker, celebrating his groundbreaking contributions to Tejano rock and country music. Fender's decade-spanning career was a testament to his talent, adaptability, and unmatched versatility. His signature blend of country, rock, and Tejano music allowed him to transcend musical boundaries, keeping him relevant in the industry for years. But it was his voice, rich, emotive, and deeply personal, that made his music timeless. This bilingual appeal helped Fender connect with audiences on a deeper level, proving that music knows no borders. His ability to bridge music and film was a testament to his artistic depth, proving that his talents extended far beyond the recording studio. His decades-long career was built on versatility and adaptation. Fender had an uncanny ability to evolve with the times while remaining true to his roots. His brief but memorable roles in film further showcased his broad artistic appeal. More than just a musician, Fender left behind a multifaceted legacy, one that not only stood the test of time but thrived by embracing change, innovation, and the power of cultural fusion. As of 2024, Freddie Fender's legacy remains as vibrant as ever in the music industry. His influence continues to shine through posthumous releases like Los Buenos Tiempos and Tex-Mex Blues, which celebrate his musical genius and rich cultural heritage. These albums have drawn attention from both longtime collectors and new generations of fans, proving that his sound is as timeless as ever. His enduring impact on modern artists is undeniable. Many contemporary musicians cite him as a major inspiration, keeping his spirit alive in today's music. With his legacy carried forward through vinyl records, streaming platforms, and a vast catalog of timeless hits, Fender remains a beloved icon among the greatest musicians in history. Spanning over 4 decades, his career continues to influence and inspire music stars today and will undoubtedly do so for generations to come. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.